kind of a weird meal. Broccoli with red coconut curry sauce or whatever it is, and pasta dish together, but whatever. He's having a good dessert. And the pasta dish is this instant meal, and it has that many chicken nuggets in it. It's chicken parmesan, I think it is called. But anyway, it says it's 2 servings, but I don't know. I added a bunch of vegetables to it to try to make it 2 servings, and still I don't believe it is. Animal Misfits. It's a PBS nature thing, and it got top of the stack. Hobbit, the motion picture trilogy, and then Hunt for the Wilderpeople. And I seem to remember seeing the Hunt for the Wilderpeople before, but as I watch movies, the way I watch movies is I'll be doing other things, like cooking the pasta, the vegetables and stuff out in the electric wok outside in the summer, because I don't want to heat up the house, so I'm cooking outside, right?
It works well.
It works pretty well. It's just that part of my deck is my kitchen.
Yeah, the house has been handleable this year, even though it's been quite hot by times in the summer.
Yeah.
It makes a difference.
It does make a difference. I'll cook inside.
And of course you watch some of these things when you're writing poetry.
Yeah, sometimes.
Stuff like that. So
yeah, it depends.
It depends.
And well, oftentimes, like everyone else, I'll fall asleep while watching TV. So watching the same thing over again, getting it out from the library again, doesn't really matter that much, because I probably missed a bunch. And like, I hadn't remembered a lot of that last one. But anyway, I'll talk about Animal Misfits. Awesome. I think it'll end up, I'll talk about it a little more tomorrow maybe, because I want to watch another show that I think might go with it, but I might not, I don't know. Anyway, it's definitely worth watching. I made some notes.
Of sorts on the fruit?
Well, it looks like a mudskipper to me.
Okay, that's good.
But very cute animals.
They are kind of weird, aren't they?
Yeah.
But they are cute.
And I learned way more about mudskippers just watching. Like, I didn't know when they look like they're breathing, they're sort of breathing, but they're not actually breathing in the oxygen. What they're doing is they store water basically in their cheeks or whatever. But I don't know. They say cheeks, but it's more like here, right? It's a little further down. So they store this water in their body. And then, so it's like I guess sort of like a swim bladder or whatever. So they store it, and then they gulp in the air because they live in the mud, and when the water that they're storing isn't oxygenated enough, they gulp in oxygen, which mixes with the water and oxygenates it, so that then they can breathe the water again, right? Because it has the oxygen. So that's awesome. I hadn't known. And seeing them, I don't know that I would ever want to keep a pair of mudskippers, because they don't seem to like each other's company very much. There's the nuthatch again. He's so sweet. He's right above your head, right there. Well, not right above.
It's kind of hard on my back, but
yeah,
he's looking at our food and not at the window ledge.
That one, who's been around lately. He's very, very handsome. And his breast actually does look pretty red.
Well, there we go. Yeah. So the full name is what type of nuthatch?
Red-breasted.
There we go.
But anyway, so back to Animal Misfits with that. That nuthatch is not a misfit.
He's handsome, I'm telling you.
Not a misfit at all. Although, I guess some people might think they're kind of different, because when you see them on the tree, they're pointing down, and they'll hop down the tree, and that's kind of different. The other birds hop up the tree.
This one's different than the type that we're used to seeing in the wild, because those ones are quite shy.
Well, yeah, this one, I don't know, he's coming around lately.
Yeah,
He's
well, that was
interested in us.
very, very close.
Yeah.
That's the closest I've ever
Yeah.
been to a
This
nuthatch.
one is not very shy at all.
Yeah.
I mean, he was just a few feet away from you.
Yeah.
But I don't know. They get knowing who's feeding them and stuff, and they're thankful. You know, like James was saying yesterday, the blue jay was thanking him,
I think
and
so.
he was definitely thanking him. He was giving a really beautiful song to us,
Yeah.
and
A lot of
they're
variety.
very thankful for
And
the.
then-
Like I put out water dishes now too because I don't have a bird bath here. I have one at James's yard that I fill up when I'm there. But
It's a little bit busted up, but
it is a
not
little
at the
busted.
bottom.
Oh, the nuthatch is back to see you. Oh, and there he went. You missed him.
Yeah,
He was looking right down at you, but
I saw you.
yeah, they're a little bit shy, but
Yeah.
That one's not very shy at all, really, for a nuthatch.
I hear
So-
some cracking around the corner.
Well, I saw the blue jay was in the apple, so it's
Yeah.
probably the blue jay.
Yeah.
But it could be the nuthatch too. But I can't imagine they'd make a whole lot of noise.
I don't think so.
Anyway, back to Animal Misfits. I made some notes. I think they called them kakapos, and they're a flightless parrot. And I thought they were kakapos. I hadn't known. But anyway, they're large and climb trees. A lot of what I learn is from books. I'll read something and but I don't know the pronunciation of things. And anyway, they're from New Zealand. They stand still when they're scared, so it's not very good for them. I mean, it used to be that they didn't have natural predators in New Zealand, right? And then people moved in, they brought their cats, and rats came along on the boats, and yeah. So now they said there was only 125 left in the wild, and they breed slowly, so that sucks even more. The females only breed once every 5 years. That's it. So they said at the end of that little bit, they said, well, the population is going up now, but it's going up really slowly, right? So I was looking at that and I'm thinking, well, how big are these birds? Like, could you possibly find a way to use another bird as a surrogate, you know, who's going to help carry the kakapo's young, and then build up the population a little faster or something. I don't know what you could do, but it's just 125 is not a lot of birds. I mean, that's like, if you think about how many people are in your extended family or whatever, and that you, right now on the planet, and there's probably a lot of people that's about it, right? 125. And geez, like that for a whole species, that's it? So anyway, Fiordland crested penguins nest in the forests of New Zealand. The chicks fend for themselves. I never would have guessed that. How do they do it? So they it showed a little penguin running along through like jungly looking stuff, right? It's like, you would never expect to see that scene. But I guess that's what they do. They go leave their chicks behind in the forest, and the chicks just wander around and figure it out. Nautilus evolved 400 million years ago, related to octopus and squid. I never would have guessed those were related. They look crazy different. You know, octopus and squid, sure, they look somewhat similar. Big tentacles going out and, you know, whatever. They force water through an adapted tentacle for locomotion, and I never would have guessed that was a tentacle. It just looks like a mouth that goes, oh, 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 and it's between their eyes. So it looks like they're blowing air out of a round mouth between eyes. When they move, they can't see where they're going because the air is pushing out this way. Their eyes are this way, right? And they're going that way. So their eyes are pointing toward where they've been, not where they're going, which is interesting. So I guess they're evolved to be knowing what they're running away from, right? So the one who think predators coming at me here, and I'm just backing the hay out, and I'm watching where you are, and you're not gonna get me. It's pretty interesting. So I love this. I loved watching this show. And anybody would. I would have loved it when I was 3 years old, and I love it now. It's awesome. Everyone would love this show, I think. If you don't, I can't relate to you, because this is totally my bag. So
I wondered why you took notes.
Yeah.
Now I know.
yeah, well, I might take more too, but
Sure.
I want to go over it again because I'm doing other stuff, and I definitely want to catch everything from that because it was so good. So, The Hobbit. So this has 3 movies in it, and honestly, I'd remembered seeing scenes from one of them or something, like, I think one of them, but I don't remember ever watching these. I don't know, maybe I saw commercials or a bit previews maybe, I don't know, but I really didn't know that they made a Hobbit movie. 1, and then there's 3, and I'm like, okay. And honestly, I don't like the Lord of the Rings stuff that much, and I thought, oh my gosh, making people sit in a movie theater for this long, but nobody sits in. Oh, I don't know. I guess some people do, but why? Why are you going to the movie theater? So
expensive.
Yeah. So anyway, these movies, they're about 2.5 hours each. The last one was a little bit shorter, but honestly, I like these way more than the Lord of the Rings stuff. And I thought there was only one Hobbit book, and I thought it was stupid and more for children or whatever. But somehow they managed to make 3 movies, and I liked them. They had Kate Blanchett, that's her name.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
It took us all night to figure out what her name was. I could have looked in the credits, but or something. Maybe it's on the box somewhere. Anyway, I could have looked somewhere and found it, but I'm not finding it around here.
I find my memory
But she
works
was in
less well when it's hot.
Oh, maybe
It was
that's
hot.
it. Yeah, it was hot. So anyway, there's oh yeah, there's her name. So, and she was in it for sure. The box says so. Elijah Wood, and I saw one I noticed on the credit was Benedict Cumberbatch or whatever. What's his name? And I don't know which character he played. I was watching the show going, which one is he? Because I mean I know the actor, and I couldn't see who he played. But anyway.
That's our blue jay, I think. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, I think he says thanks after he's had some stuff. That's his big loud thank you.
Yeah, well, I don't know. I like it when he does the song thing.
Well, I like that too, but yeah, it's a
kind
bit
of verbally thing.
Startle.
That's beautiful. That is. But I'm glad that he's getting food because he's the nice guy. I like him a lot. So anyway, yeah, there were great special effects for there was one. What is the name of the one elf with the young man with the long blonde hair in this? Well, that's really doesn't cut it.
Bilbo Baggins?
No, that's a Hobbit.
Okay.
But anyway, there were great fight scenes for him. Wow, Prince, whatever, he'd be a prince, I suppose.
Okay.
Because he's the son of a king of elves of some sort. So, anyway, yeah, great fight scene, awesome, and well, just everything scenes with him, awesome. Yeah, I really don't know what to say about these movies. I mean, it's a bit of a Hobbit and dwarf sausage party, but
Mainly guys.
I enjoyed it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, like all.
Yeah, and New Zealand scenery again?
Oh yes, that's
Gotta
what I
mention
was.
that.
That's why I'm watching this at the same time to review because New Zealand scenery.
Yeah.
I'm glad James caught that I was missing that connection because it didn't slip my mind when I was going through the order of these when I was watching them. That reviewing them anyway.
That's what I like the best about the Lord of the Rings.
Yeah,
is the scenery.
scenery.
It's awesome.
Oh, New Zealand, so beautiful. So yeah, I talked about New Zealand with the first a couple birds, and then Lord of the Rings Hobbit stuff is New Zealand scenery. Fantastic. And now I'm getting to hunt for the Wilderpeople, which I don't know that I would say it's comic dynamite. It's hard to work with kids in a leading role, and this kid, he is sort of a believable character though. He's been through the foster care system, and he's had troubles, you know. He's arson, graffiti, and all sorts of things. And anyway, he ends up with this family on a farm, and he doesn't want to be there. Like, he gets out for a minute and he gets back in the car. He's like, you know, he doesn't want to be on a farm. And but the foster care system, they have pretty much given up on him, and they've said to him, look, this is your last stop. After here it's juvie, right? So make it work. And anyway, so the family, the woman really wants him there. She's a wonderful mother, and she makes a song for him for his birthday, and then like he has a birthday cake with his name on it, and he's just thrilled, right? And then they give him a gift, and it's a dog, and he's like, this is the best birthday ever, right? And it's awesome. And so he has this dog, and he's thinking of, what can I name the dog? And he wants to name it like something vicious or whatever, right? And then he says, or Tupac. And the parents, they're like, Tupac? And he's like, oh, well, that's this rapper guy that I like. He's like my best friend, right? And so, anyway, it's kind of cute. But there's one thing in here that I was like, okay, this part, as much as, yeah, it's sort of silly there, the premise for the movie is a little bit whatever, and I'm not going to go into it because it's worth watching, even though it didn't make the top of the stack for me. It's not great, but it's something to stick on the TV if you have nothing else to do, and it's good to have company. So, anyway, like my aunt, she leaves the radio on for her dog when she goes to work or whatever, and I thought, oh, that's so nice, you know, and apparently he loves it. It's nice to have company. So, anyway, and with putting a movie on or putting the radio on, it's company that you don't have to serve, you don't have to worry about. They're just nattering on in the background and whatever. It's the best kind of company. So anyway, so the one part that I didn't believe at all is we find out that the father character in this, who really he wasn't interested in being a foster parent. He did this for his wife. But he's a survivalist kind of guy, and he doesn't know how to read. And then the boy is talking about this bird that won't shut up, and the guy's like, no, just look, just watch it. And the kid doesn't know what he's watching for or whatever, but he watches, and the guy's like, that's a such and such. It's an endangered bird, you know, and it's thought to be extinct. And so anyway, I mean, they're all the way along the way. They're shooting everything to eat, right? And that's how they live. They live off the land. It could be one time it's an eel that they eat, and whatever. They're always shooting and eating and moving on. And it is kind of funny. The young man runs into a woman who's on horseback out in the wild, and she said, "Oh, I've seen your pictures, right?" Because they're presumed missing, right? And she's like, "But in real life, you're thinner." And I thought that's kind of funny, right? Because, you know, after a few months of living out in the wild, you would be a lot thinner. And honestly, you'd be a lot thinner than he was. If you go ketogenic for a while, truly ketogenic, that weight just falls off really fast. So anyway, Um, I didn't believe that they wouldn't have shot. I figured that what would have happened is the young boy who's become quite a marksman, he's been shooting things. I think he just would have shot the bird. That would have been lunch, and it would have been, oh yeah, well, that one was thought to be extinct, and now it might be, right? But
This is the boy you're talking
yeah,
about? That's ridiculous.
what?
He's pudgy.
I know.
Yeah.
And I can believe that he would be at the beginning, but
Mhm.
not at the end. He would have been break thin. They would have just, anyway. So that's just one reason why it got the bottom of the stack. But, so James is going to talk to you now about something.
Yeah.
Well, I eat.
He's talking about the ultimate sacrifice. I actually wasn't reading this 900-page book.
Oh, and I should mention that the dish doesn't come with this much sauce either. It's basically like I had one of those packages this morning. I just took the nuggets out. It's easy to take out. I've been talking about how you can try to do a Buddhist approach to living from the food bank or whatever. And even if you're a vegetarian, you can find a way to make it work many times. So, what was I going to say about this? I ate it this morning, and it's like, even adding broccoli to it this morning, that was a single serving. That was not 2 servings. And so I stretched out even more, added more vegetables, zucchini and whatever. And so this time around, and I added pizza sauce that we were given for free too. So instead. So that's all. I just wanted to point out that if you think, wow, that's a lot of sauce they give or whatever, and that's a lot of vegetables, no, not in that mix.
So we're talking about the ultimate sacrifice. He's talking about the plot to kill Castro, have a coup at the same time, and the leader apparently approached the United States. Not vice versa, the leader of the coup projected. Also, it is ironic that Frankie should be mentioned the same document that uses the name Plan Judas for C-Day. So C-Day is this guy's term. Excuse me, these guys' term. Yeah. For this coup. It's supposed to be the 1st of December, 1963. Frankie wrote a book. It's not like Frankie and Johnny. It's like F-R-A-N and then Q-U-I. Wrote a book named Los Doce, the 12, about the 12 disciples of Castro, including Raul Castro, and Che, who survived a major attack and became the leaders of the revolution. Frankie wrote that Fidel was fond of biblical parables and always spoke of the 12. It sounds as though he knew his Bible better than Marx. I think he was saying he got halfway through, this is not Marx, but Castro got halfway through Das Kapital. I'm wondering if maybe halfway through the first volume, which is a big volume. Always spoke of the 12 men and a Christ like Fidel. Yeah, like fun. Anyway, exiles believed the coup leader was one of these 12 disciples who is now going to betray Castro, hence the origin of the name Plan Judas for C-Days. So this guy would be Judas. Frankie was less important and was later called a small Judas by one Cuban writer. As we detail in an upcoming chapter, around the time of Frankie's defection, a huge payoff from Kennedy aide Harry Williams, Frankie had a dramatic meeting with, Che Guevara. There's the segue to Che Guevara from these presumably anonymous coup leader. So there's one more that I've isolated. I've been going, here I've gone through a page 3 times, but I've gone through a fair number of pages twice. So how much? It's 900 pages, and I've gone through almost 180 pages again. So what does that mean? 180. That's 80, or yeah, pages. It would be like 20% of it. Again, like a second time. 96, an M-World memo. M-World's a code name from the CIA. M-World memo from CIA Director John McCone, sent on the morning of JFK's assassination, 22nd of December 1963. The day the countdown to C-Day would begin, confirms that the C-Day coup was scheduled for the 1st of December. That's 1963. This date matches what our Kennedy sources, including Harry Williams, had told us in 1992, even before this memo was released in 1993. Several crucial factors determine why the date was chosen. The Kennedys and their C-Day coup leader in Cuba were facing a deadline partly imposed by Castro. As we said earlier, many Cuban leaders had helped to free Cuba during the revolution been pushed aside by Castro, and some were now Kennedy C-Day Cuban exile leaders. In other words, they'd been exiled by Castro, or else they'd just refugees from him. I wouldn't wait around for him to exile me, because I'd be afraid he'd exile me into another form of existence into the afterward. As for the revolutionary leaders left in Cuba, it's well documented that Che Guevara was one of the few who still had a loyal following and power base of his own, aside from Fidel and Raul Castro. So again and again and again and again, I think it's 4 times. So far, I'm just going through the book again and keeping track of it. Yeah, and again, so 5 times. I always like to underestimate the numbers when they're used in support of an argument I have to make, because I don't like overstating things. And so this is another example. So I'll be talking more about this sort of stuff. I did want to finish that up, and but we'll be signing off, because I want to watch it this week. Sorry about that.
No, that's okay.
Yeah. So you won't have the full half-hour material or whatever. That's the way it goes.
You almost did anyway.